Okay, I've seen a lot of people asking the question of why is Terrance Ferguson not involved in this Rams offense? I mean, he's barely gotten any snaps on offense, if any. In the last 2 weeks, he's been a healthy scratch. This was a guy who was picked with the Rams' first draft pick in this draft. And Sean McVay and Les Snead both said if they didn't trade their pick with the Falcons in the first round, they would have used their first round pick at number 26 to pick Terrance Ferguson. This guy's been compared to Travis Kelce, Chris Cooley, and he's without a doubt the most athletic Rams tight end on this roster. So is this conspiracy theory time? Is it time to panic? No. Absolutely not. It is not time to panic. It's not time for conspiracy theories. We actually have the answers from Sean McVay and Les Snead themselves. And the answer is pretty black and white. I will show you guys the answers from both Sean McVay and Les Snead on why they are not using Terrance Ferguson right now. And I'll give my perspective on if I agree with it or not. Okay, do you remember those two answers I was talking about between Sean McVay and Les Snead? Well, here they are.
Les, I wonder what perspective you can offer us and Rams fans who are probably a little frustrated about the first pick of this draft class so far being a healthy scratch and kind of a non-factor, especially on a day where they see another tight end influencing so much success for the Colts.
We've gotten to the point where you're now coming to a team with some established players, so it's a little bit tougher to, let's call it, either make an impact, get in the lineup sooner, and especially on the offensive side of the ball where we do have more veterans than let's call it players on their rookie contract. So it's a little bit. That's the positive. We have a really good subset of offensive players, some of them with a lot of experience, but not there yet. But I do know, and not necessarily in what he can and can't do. He had a really, really good practice last week, and he has to go to our practice field as a scout teamer and put on the jersey of Mr. Warren. Really did a nice job last week of let's call it acting like him. And that's where you can see his skill set. So it's definitely coming, and I think as we get in flow, I know Sean wants to insert him, that you're gonna take some of the load off of Puka and Devontae. I think that's where we're at. That's the frustration. I understand the frustration part.
And then another longer lens thing. I know you drafted Terrance Ferguson in part because of his athleticism and red zone ability. Is it understandable for fans to be a little confused as to why your top pick in the draft is a healthy scratch?
For sure. But I think we've got tremendous depth at the tight end position. You really look at it, he did miss some critical time throughout training camp with the groin injury. He is going to be a guy that is going to be a big-time player for us. I have zero doubt. My confidence in him from when we drafted him to where we are now is even better. But you're always figuring out what is going to be best for the collective, what's best for our 48, for our football team. His time is going to come. He's doing a good job developing in the background, but we love Terrance Ferguson, but we really have a good group.
So as you guys gathered from both Sean McVay and Les Snead, they're on the same page that while Terrance Ferguson is really good and he still has a lot of upside for the Rams, and it could even be the immediate future, at this point right now, he's just not ready. Sean McVay alluded to the time that he missed in training camp with that hamstring injury and maybe how that set him back and maybe gave opportunities more for a guy like Davis Allen and Colby Parkinson. On top of this, both Sean McVay and Les Snead were alluding to the depth that the Rams have at tight end. Now, in my opinion, our tight end room isn't really filled with superstars right now. It would be nice to have a guy like Terrance Ferguson to come in and just completely transcend that position. But I do personally agree with what Sean McVay and Les Snead were alluding to when they were talking about the floors of the tight ends we have right now and the experience they've gathered to this point being the most valuable thing for them. This is a year where the Rams are attempting to get the highest seed possible and go out and win the dang Super Bowl. We'd absolutely love to see Terrance Ferguson involved in this offense and be a big reason why they're producing. And he does have the skill set to be able to do that. But I think right now the Rams are fine with where their tight end room is at. They're fine with refining some of those things in Ferguson's game. And let's be honest, it's not common to find a rookie like Puka Nacua, like a Kobe Turner, like a Jared Verse that is just basically ready from day one. And for this year, the year that you're going out and trying to win a Super Bowl and the roster that is as competitive as ever for the Rams, you're going to need guys that you're confident in that have had a lot of experience in this offense to not screw up a moment. So while I do believe that Terrance Ferguson has a future for this Rams team, and I believe his ceiling is higher than any of the Rams tight ends that they have on their roster right now. But I can also kind of agree with the Rams here in this case where they don't want to throw a guy in who's just blatantly not ready in a year where you need to win every single game to try to get that number one seed, or at least try to make a push in the playoffs when you get there. Now, where I do push back a little bit from Sean McVay and Les Snead is I do think that you can get him him a little bit more involved on the offense. He doesn't have to be a guy who's taking all the snaps at tight end, but I think you can throw him in there for 15 snaps a game to just change up the look a little bit. I don't know what you guys think on that. But even in both the answers from Sean McVay and Les Snead, they have reassured us that this pick is still the pick that they wanted, and he's even overperformed some of what they thought he could do. This is more of a long-term kind of play answer here, and I do expect to see him at some point get involved in this offense. I just don't think that's the top of the Rams' priorities needs at this moment. So if you guys are still watching at this point in the video, I just want you guys to take away the fact that this guy is not a bust. This is not a missed pick by the LA Rams. He's barely even gotten any action to prove it so far. This guy is a guy that still has a lot of upside, and they are still raving about at this moment. He's just not quite ready to play right now on a team that is very deep at tight end. There's no conspiracy theories to draw up here. I just think that this is a guy who's just not quite ready to see the field yet on a team that's going to try to win as many games as they possibly can. Now, could we see him get involved in the Rams offense this week against the 49ers on Thursday night? I would doubt it, but you never know. He may be drawn up into the game plan, and he could make those game-changing plays. But we have the answer right now. We know he's not quite refined enough to be able to be put into this Rams offense that does have a pretty good amount of depth at that tight end position, even if the floor isn't crazy high. So do you guys agree with the decision by Sean McVay and Les Snead? Let me know in the comments below. It would also really help me out if you guys could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I make Rams content all the time, and I'd love to have you guys along for the journey. As always though, horns up and God bless.